Guys, K55 here. Listen, I want to talk to you guys real quick about something I've noticed constantly all over the place, in person, on the internet, in comment sections of videos, everywhere. Christians, especially theists in general, tend to accuse atheists of being very arrogant people. And they also like to say that atheism, as an idea, is an arrogant idea. Well, it's not. Atheism is not even an idea almost. It's pretty much just the lack of an idea. It's the lack of the idea that you believe in God. So it's kind of like, it doesn't make any sense, okay? We believe in science. And science is facts. We present these facts to you as facts because they are facts. Now you present your decryption or idea of a holy book, if you will, from 2,000 years ago as fact, even though it's all been disproven. You know, evolution is fact. Sorry. How the universe came around is fact. How old the universe is fact. 14 billion years, y'all. Okay, that is fact. Now, you want to accuse atheists as being arrogant and contemptuous and condescending, but your belief is basically that y'all know everything. You're all knowing. You know, and I think a lot of your arrogance, and I think a lot of your you don't want to listen to anybody else's ideas. You don't want to see the facts because you think you have all the answers. You don't. You think because you read the Bible and this all-powerful being has written this Bible that by reading it you become an all-knowing being. You don't. You don't know squat. And seriously, go through some of the comments in my videos and there's your proof that y'all don't know squat. The arrogance is astounding throughout the Christian community. And I think that fundamentally is part of the reason it's so hard to get you guys to accept facts and change your views from what they are now to a scientific area where you can view things objectively with logic. Because right now where you're sitting, maybe you're watching this video, you think right now you're hanging out with an all-powerful supernatural being whom you can be in constant communication with, gives you answers to problems, and if you pray and ask him hard enough, he'll present you with anything. So there's a false sense of power. Then there's your Bible, and you're talking to your God, which you think is nothing but pure fact. It tells you how the universe began, how the universe acts, how things react to each other, how the meaning of life, all that stuff. Morality, all that stuff is packed in that Bible. So then you have a false sense of all-knowingness. So you don't want to give that up, which is understandable. That was actually a part of the thing when I was a Christian. I felt like I had all the answers, and so every time I heard the word evolution, I turned my ears off. Every time I heard the word atheist, I became offended. I thought I had all the answers. I thought I had, God's ear, if you will. So there's a lot of arrogance right there. So right now, we got a lot of theists running around thinking they're all-knowing, all-powerful people, and they look down on people. But here's the interesting thing. If you can find one that will sit down and have a logical, calm conversation, where you can actually start dissecting things, getting down to the fact of the matter, things get real interesting real fast. Thought Freddie was behind me. Now, once you talk to these people, and usually, in my case, maybe I'm just slow at dissecting, but it takes about 8 hours. An 8-hour conversation in person. It would take, maybe weeks if you're over the internet or texting someone. But once you get down to the fabric that brings together their ideas, and you begin to pick apart these fabrics, the superficial stuff on the outside has already been pulled away, layer by layer, and you start picking apart the fabrics, the existence of God, the moral problems of that God, contradictions. You start pulling these fabrics, and eventually you can just grab all the fabric and just rip it apart. And once you do the ripping, and obviously you're not being offensive. At least I try not to be. I really do. You try not to be offensive. You do it as gently as you can. You pull that fabric apart, and you bare essentially that person's that person's soul, basically. You pulled away all the protective layers of his false beliefhood, and now it really just comes down to him. And this is what I like to call what happens next is the golden moment. They have, it looks like they had an electric shock, if you will. Their face changes, and there's a look at this sheer panic for a split second. And then they have one of two options. They can either go from there, continue their conversation with you, or go on by themselves and begin to look at science and compare it to what they believe in, an objective way, and kind of start, being truthful to themselves, which is what I did. Or they can continue down their way of the self-delusion that they are, an almighty, all-powerful being. And usually when they pick that route, their reaction is pretty strong after that moment, okay? Because you just bared their soul, and they had to compensate greatly, take a lot of energy to reconvince themselves of their false reality. And so usually they become extremely angry. I've had people get in my face, people threaten me, people throw stuff around, people just get up and walk away. Usually people just get up and walk away and never talk to you again. So really it comes down to being able to have a personal conversation with one another, and gently start peeling back the layers. And once you do that, then you have that personal relationship with that person, and hopefully they make the right choice and they come over to the side of logic and peace. When I converted over from, I didn't convert because atheism is not a religion, obviously, but when I became an atheist, I gave up my Christian faith, the world became so much better. It's amazing. It really, really, really is amazing. I went from being in constant fear of an almighty being, judging my every move and having to obey him and fear him in every moment and give thanks to him for every little thing that I ever found, and thanks for bad things that happened to me. And kind of seeing the universe and the world in a dreary, bland way. When I converted over, it was like freedom, pure freedom, freedom of the mind, freedom of the soul, freedom of the human experience, and just so much wonder, The other day I watched Stephen Hawking's, it was a documentary about the universe, and he explained how the universe came into being and how stars came together and the gravity eventually caused them to ignite. And then as the stars burned out, that created the dust and that created the earth. And how basically we're all stardust. Things like that are just so incredibly fascinating and wonderful to me. And before, they were only offensive because they were suggesting that God didn't create the earth the way he did. Things like that, And the fact that when I die now, I know I'm just going to die. Unfortunately, it would be cool if there's an afterlife. But when I die, my existence is over. My brain, which is all we are as a consciousness, is just a very sophisticated computer, computing tons of information with other parts of the brain, and bringing forth your ability to realize, yes, I am here, I have conscious thought, and process all kinds of different things, and then also kind of running a social program which helps us communicate with each other. But when that's over and it disintegrates and my neural pathways are gone, I'm not going to be in eternal damnation. And I'm not going to be in a really, really lame place called heaven, which basically I'm dead anyway because it takes away your free will. It takes away your ability to judge, to be a conscious person, basically. I mean, I guess you'll know you're there, but you won't be able to, dissect things with your mind, think. All you'll be is this, oh, God, I love you, God, I don't want that. That's hell in itself. And then there's hell where, you're being tortured by demons and burned alive for all eternity. So those two options never really attracted me much. But when I die, as a fact, my consciousness will cease to exist. And that's fine, Dying is a bad thing. And I have known people that have died, and as a Christian, it was kind of comforting to know, oh, well, they'll be in heaven, I'll see them again. But it's just not how it is, guys, and that's okay. That's okay. So, guys, if you're an atheist, get out there, talk to your friends and family. I know it can be hard, I know it can be awkward, but really we need to have people that have logical brains that aren't in a delusional state all the time, so that we can move on as a race, as a human race, and eventually reach some level of serenity with one another. All right, thanks guys.